Thank you so much for watching Landumc Goes There. Please subscribe and hit the like button and the bell notification button. Boy, you would have to live under a rock if you didn't know about the Andy Griffith Show. It was a sitcom that ran on CBS from October of 1960 to April of 1968 with a total of 149 episodes. The show focused almost entirely on Andy Taylor's interaction with the residents of the town of Mayberry. But still, the writers left a little room for romance in it. Over the show's entire run, Andy did a fair bit of dating, including the appearance of a few steady girlfriends and a handful of one-off dates. In season 1, he romanced Ellie Walker. Ellie moved to Mayberry to work at her uncle's pharmacy and quickly integrated herself into this small community, but not always into the good graces of the townsfolk. During that season, all seemed well. However, by the opening of season 2, Ellie was gone. Andy never mentioned her sudden departure, and his dating life moved forward. Peggy McMillan, better known to the Andy Griffith Show fans as Nurse Peggy, served as Andy Taylor's girlfriend during season 3. Peggy and Andy initially hit it off, but Peggy's wealthy background made Andy uncomfortable at first. The duo dated for a short time before the relationship ended, and a lot of people feel like this was the best girlfriend that Andy had in the whole show, me included. Joanna Moore played this character so well, and she became so loved by the viewers. Fans of the show really regret Peggy's quick departure from the series. While Andy's relationship with Ellie and Peggy didn't work out, his relationship with Helen Crump lasted much longer. This romance really wasn't planned, but somehow it worked out. Helen Crump ended up being Andy's main girlfriend for the majority of the show, and eventually his wife. She was played by Aneta Corsaut, and the way that she got this disgusting last name was strictly intended to be a joke. When we first hear of her, as Opie complains about his new teacher at the kitchen table, she's referred to as Old Lady Crump. They wanted that name to sound much like a spinster. That way, when Andy finally met her face to face, midway through the episode, the surprise of her being an attractive young woman has the ultimate payoff. That wouldn't have worked as a joke had her name been Mary Simpson. The last name of Crump has nothing soothing or pretty about it. In fact, Helen Crump was intended to be a one-off character to appear in a single episode. Obviously, as she ended up sticking around much longer than that, they were kind of stuck with it. But you might wonder what convinced the writers to have Helen Crump stick around after that intended one-episode shot. It was without a doubt the chemistry that Andy Griffith felt with her, not only on the screen, but off the screen too, because it was a known fact that the entire time the show was going on, they were involved with each other off the set. But in front of the camera, Andy and her just clicked, and the writers knew that that was something that they needed to stick with because they had had trouble finding a woman that worked for Andy. The sparks in Mayberry were not exactly electric from the moment that she was introduced. Instead, Andy himself stepped in to make sure that there were no fast moves when it came to him romancing Opie's school teacher. He wanted their courting to come along very nice and slow. Initially, one of the scenes that they were going to shoot and that they were rehearsing made Andy feel completely uncomfortable about the romantic shift in the show. That scene called for Andy and Helen to hover outside his office, with Andy feeling so smitten that he starts to lean in for a kiss, only to lose his nerve at the last minute and duck inside the door where Barney was waiting. Andy didn't like this public image of the sheriff one bit. He thought that that was too much. He felt like it would be better if they sort of made love with their eyes for a little bit. Luckily for Andy Griffith, his name was on the show, and the director of that episode agreed that the scene wasn't quite right. They wrote that near kiss out of the episode. This is just one example of how the namesake of the show was cautious about letting romantic storylines dominate the series. Aneta Corsaut was fine with the pace of their romance, though. She was just happy to become a part of the Mayberry family. As a matter of fact, while she was still alive, she loved watching reruns of the show over and over, and she really grew to appreciate her and Andy's relationship. As she watched those scenes, she felt like she was watching someone else that looked like her. Like most characters on the show, Aneta Corsaut formed a special bond, not with just Andy, but also with a lot of the Andy Griffith Show fans. Now, Mayberry is a town that would be the last place that you would expect to find a hipster. But sure enough, one strolls through the town. In the episode, The Mayberry Band, Mayor Roy Stoner finds the Mayberry Band to be in a despicable state. He calls them the worst in the entire state and a disgrace to the good name of Mayberry. But Andy Taylor has a plan. You see, traveling rock and rollers Freddie Fleet and his band happen to be passing through town on tour. So Sheriff Andy enlists them to act like the Mayberry Band. One of the touring musicians, in particular, gets a good amount of screen time. This trumpet player sports a Van Dyke goatee and spouts lines like, "Don't worry about it, Daddy." And when he meets Barney and Barney offers to shake his hand, this city slicker gives Barney some skin, a complicated palm massage. The name of this horn blower is Phil Sunkel. And believe it or not, Aneta Corsaut named this character. She suggested this name to screenwriter Jim Fritzell as a tribute to a friend of hers. You see, Aneta happened to know this cool jazz horn player by that name, and she thought, wouldn't it be cute to honor him and have him be the name of this television character? Well, that real friend of hers, Phil Sunkel, didn't find it amusing at all and didn't take it as a compliment. He ended up suing the Andy Griffith Show for $20,000. That's about $180,000 in today's money, because the series had used his name without his permission. The producers of the show ended up settling with the musician for about $5,000. Aneta Corsaut was reportedly in anguish over this ordeal. She felt terrible about it. Here she was trying to do something nice, and it came around and bit her in the backside. Take some time and watch an episode of the Andy Griffith Show. It'll put you in a better mood, and you'll go to bed with a smile on your face. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.